Shalom and welcome to this week's edition of the Rabbi's Ramblings. Hope you've had a good week. This week's parasha is the parasha of Chukas, which means statute. Now, all the mitzvahs that Hashem has commanded us can be divided into three categories. The first one is mishpatim, laws which we understand the logic behind them, and hopefully would actually do on our own, even if Hashem had not commanded us to do so. For instance, do not murder, respect your parents, and so on. Then there's a category of mitzvahs called edus, testimonials, which is a mitzvah which we would not have come up with on our own, but once Hashem has given it to us, He explains the symbolism behind it. For instance, Shabbos. We may not have come up with Shabbos the way it looks in the Torah, but once Hashem gave us the mitzvah of Shabbos, He says that I want you to fulfill Shabbos because I rested on the seventh day after creating the world in 6 days. Then there's chukim, statutes. Laws which we have no understanding of why Hashem has told us to do this. For instance, the very mitzvah which we begin reading about in this week's Torah portion. The laws of the red heifer, which is where we take the ashes of a burnt red cow, mix it with spring water, and mix it upon somebody who is spiritually impure, thus beginning the process of them becoming ritually pure once again. Now, even King Solomon, who understood all the mitzvot, did not understand this one. Now, when thinking what's the ideal way to serve Hashem, so the first thought that comes to mind is that doing the mitzvahs, that we understand the logic behind them, is the way to go. Because being that we understand the logic behind it, what we'll do is we'll invest of ourselves in it. We'll get emotionally involved because we understand why we're doing it, and therefore we'll feel for it. Now, even the edus, because once we understand the symbolism there, we can also invest ourselves emotionally. So that leaves chukim, the statutes, which have no logic. They seem to be left out. But there's an advantage in chukim. And that is that when we're doing things just because we understand, or just because we're excited and emotionally invested in something, we will only go as far as our emotion and logic will take us. Whereas if we're doing something just because Hashem said so, then we'll go further. We will go beyond our personal limitations. But still, there's a disadvantage with chukim in that we may not invest of ourselves emotionally. We won't put ourselves entirely into it because at the end of the day, I don't understand why I'm doing this. But there's a trick. We can infuse the best of both worlds, and that is the way as follows. If we think about how there's an infinite creator, Hashem, who takes of his time, so to speak, and from the entire creation chooses one people, the Jewish people, gives them a Torah, a set of laws, and then looks at one individual and sees whether that person is fulfilling the mitzvot or not, that will generate in us a tremendous excitement. Wow, look at this. Hashem is so great. He is so powerful. And yet, what does He want to know about? He wants to know whether I am fulfilling His request of me or not. Like this, even though I don't understand what I'm doing, it will elicit a tremendous sense of excitement on my end, and we would invest of ourselves emotionally because just for the fact that we're thinking that Hashem wants a relationship with us. He asks us to do something for Him. Now, actually, this can also be applied to our personal relationships. Here, when someone makes a request of us, instead of thinking, well, why did that person ask me to do this? They could have done it themselves. We can think about it a bit of a different way. And that is the fact that that person made that request of me means that they have trust in me, have faith in me. They can know that they can rely on me. And therefore, I will come through for them. Remember, you matter, so make a difference. Shabbat Shalom.